class for today. I'm Christy Joe, and today we are going to be covering how to detox the right way. Is there a right way? We're going to get all into it. We're going to talk all about it because there's so much controversy out there. So first, before I begin this, for everybody watching this and for everybody here, I have a place for you to go get a free download of all of the power foods by category, as well as my 30 minutes of self-training videos where you can start learning about the power foods lifestyle. So that is at powerfoods-lifestyle.com/self-training. So go check that out, and tried to make a lot of resources for you guys. This class is free, so I appreciate you watching it and using the information, and most particularly sharing it. So feel free to hit share on those buttons. You know, whether it's to Pinterest or Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, whatever it is, hit that like button and show some happy thanks for what we're doing here. So today, my goal is to bridge the gap between all the science of what works, especially what I have seen work in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people I've been blessed to coach, and help you each think really critically about what is myth, what is a very solid direction to go, and we'll try to get a firmer mindset around, you know, instead of feeling prone to going a certain way and going towards the diets, towards the detoxes, all those like things that make us feel like, yeah, that's what I need to do. And it's desperation, right? That's why we turn to those things, and having a better, more sound place to turn to when we have those feelings. So with that said, we're gonna just start right away. So my first question for everybody here is, what kinds of detoxes have you heard of? What is familiar to you? Just go ahead and throw some out.
The cayenne pepper, lemon juice, maple syrup one.
Yes, which I've actually done that several times, and I'll talk about that one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Juice cleanse.
Juice cleansing. We were talking a lot about juicing before we started this broadcast. There's all kinds. Back in my diet years before Power Foods Lifestyle and Body Buddies, I did there's a 7-day cleanse where you start by cutting out like meat, then you cut out carbs, and you cut out fruits, then you cut out vegetables, and then you only drink juice, and then you work them back in that same way. I didn't even make it to the end. It was like, it messed with my psyche so much. And so many of our listeners and some of you guys may have experienced that, okay, cool, so we have all these theories, we have all these thoughts, but number one, if we can't emotionally and psychologically do it, number one, we're putting our body through a very stressful thing, and we're not finishing it to completion to get the maximum benefit, which actually hurts our bodies more than helps it. And so some questions I'd like you to think about today are, number one, what can I be doing on a regular, everyday basis, whether I'm feeling motivated or not, to keep me on more of an even playing field rather than swinging diet, I don't care, diet, I don't care. We want to start to diminish that gap between apathy and extremism, and that's going to be a much more beautiful place to be. So some of the big problems with detox is, number one is that, gosh, anyone who could write a blog, anyone who has a Facebook and Instagram can publish something and say, hey, here's how to do it. Because what does it do? Come on in. Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
Watch the cord. Okay.
How are you? I'm Rita.
Nice to meet you. Come on
Nice to
in.
meet you. This is Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
Love your henna.
Thanks.
I'm Christy Joe. We're just talking about the detoxes and some of the problems, the everyday detoxes that are out there. So basically anyone and their mom and their dog can start something, can post something. There's no internet criteria saying cite your sources. Where did you get this information? What kinds of income are you generating from sharing your knowledge? Just in preparation for today, I Googled detox diets. The top 10 things that came up weren't even credible sources. They happened to be blogs with really SEO friendly search terms and probably paying for Google AdWords, so they rose to the top, so they're the highest clicked ones. People buy their stuff. That's how the business works. It's a $3 trillion industry. It's a yucky thing, because when we're in a state of wanting help, we're going to those sources, right? And it's just kind of perpetuating the cycle because we're not really getting pure answers. So the first thing I'd like to discuss, though, is that there is a difference between detoxing and body composition shifting. So a lot of people think, well, when they come to me for, you know, like, hey, I want to change my body. So you probably have everyone like detox first. I'm like, what are you talking about now? Like, we just start eating, right? So like, no. So we're going to put detox in this camp. And we're going to put body composition shift. I watched my last class that we recorded and I criticized my handwriting. I wrote too fast. You couldn't even read it. So I'm going to try and have good writing today. Body composition shift.
Well, it's hard when it's right down there.
That's right. It is. It's kind of a, we make it all happen. In fact, I don't even know if this can see. I don't even know. Well, hopefully. Try your best, guys. Everyone that's watching this on YouTube. So here's the problem. Detoxing has to do with something called free radicals, while body composition shifting has to do with glycogen. Okay, now we're going to totally explain this so that it all makes sense. So most of us think, oh, the reason I'm not losing weight or shifting my body or feeling great is because I have a bunch of garbage, and you've heard these terms thrown around in the interwebs and Instagram and Facebook and all this free radicals, toxins, and you know, all this type of stuff. So let's talk about what are free radicals, first of all. So in your body, here's like an example of a cell. So your body has oxygen flowing to cells. And basically when the cell loses an electron and it doesn't bind to anything else, and it's just that's just a free radical. Now, I'm not the whole like scientist behind this. I'm just saying this simply because, I mean, I don't think it's really that important to know super in depth. We'll leave that to our doctors who are putting out the scientific information that we can then apply. But the point is, we are having some waste, we'll call it, in our bodies that we need to do our part to help move on their way and not attach to things. For instance, radicals attached to cholesterol, that exacerbates the problem in the heart, you know, things like that. So that's the problem. And free radicals are not the way we eat. They're from stress. They're from waste in the air. So things like, you know, here in Salt Lake City, where we're broadcasting from, we have like some of the worst air in the nation. So lucky us. Waste. And then what about plastic? Especially if you heat up foods in plastic, that's going to naturally leach some toxins and out of the plastic and into your food. Leaving hot water bottles in the car in our really hot summers and then drinking them, that can get some waste in your body as well. So we have a plethora of incoming things that we need to cleanse. Now, this absolutely is going to impact your liver, which a conversion with T3 and T4, which helps regulate so many bodily processes, including the breakdown of fat, the absorption of glucose, all of these things that are really essential. And I'm not saying this because I want you to understand it. I just want you to understand there's a lot on this side that happens in terms of health. Now, it's very important we understand that this is health, this is aesthetics. And again, they're not one and the same. Can we bridge the gap and accomplish both goals? Yes. But we have to first make sure that we're understanding what's our goal. For you guys that haven't probably not been exposed to my stuff before, the number one thing I'll ask people, because people will come to me all the time and say, well, should I do this? What should I do this? Da, da, da. And my answer is never yes, no, or straight up, here's an answer. My question is, what's your goal? Because we all have different goals. We all have different bodies, whether it's gaining muscle, losing body fat, lowering cholesterol. You know, some people are just trying to manage chronic pain or other diseases. So we always want to know our goal. So if your goal is to detox, that means you're trying to help cleanse your body of some of these toxins and free radicals. But just because you focus on detoxing your body, please do not think you are going to change your body composition. You can detox your body without shifting a darn pound, okay? And feel better, absolutely feel better. Now, body composition shift. This is where the real magic happens, okay? So I'm gonna use this little, I'm gonna do it here so that our people on YouTube can see. You guys can come around. So this is going to represent your liver, okay? Your liver has a storage capacity, which is where carbohydrates, when they can't be actively used, so carbohydrates break down to a simple sugar. Then that simple sugar, if it can't be used in your brain or your muscles, it's going to get stored in your liver right here, okay? It's on your right side. So it's like a storage tank, and it can hold that because if your body, you know, doesn't need it right now, it might need it later. Like what if you don't have food or something, you know, if you don't get to eat on the dot all the time. Your body's really coolly designed. So we have this storage container, think of it like. So let's pretend like this water right here. Actually, this is the wrong way to do it. Okay, this is your storage container. This is your liver. This is what I want, the smaller one. So this is great. So let's pretend like these are broken down carbohydrates, piece of bread, cookies. It could be great carbs. It can be not great carbs, right? I call them strategic carbs or non-strategic carbs. There's no good or bad foods. So let's just say for the sake of this example, this is a piece of whole wheat bread. It broke down to glucose, and your brain actively used what it needed, but it didn't need all of it. Let's just say, maybe you have like 3 pieces. And so it's going to store some in the liver, which, okay, maybe it didn't fill it up all the way. That's fine. Did you store body fat? Nope, not yet. But do you weigh more? Yes, you do. This is what is really important to understand, because when you have glucose molecules that are going to be stored for later use, your body takes 4 molecules of water to store 1 gram of glycogen. So that means you're going to weigh more. If you weigh yourself after eating 2 pieces of bread versus no carbs, you will weigh differently. And you didn't gain a pound. It's just what your body is holding. The problem is when we max out our liver's storage capacity and we have something called spillover. See that? In your body, that is when we're storing body fat, when this is full. Now, when this happens, you're usually feeling pretty bloated and pretty yucky, right? You're feeling like, oh, that nasty feeling. So it's when people are feeling like this that their number one thought is, I need to detox. Are you getting where I'm going? Okay, this is more of a body composition thing. So what we're going to talk about today is both strategies that are going to meet both a detox, but also help prepare the body for a composition shift. So what I'm going to teach you is how, guess what? Unfortunately, it doesn't work in exact opposite, where, oh, it goes back into the liver and then, you know, whatever you think, like, when I was a little kid, I used to think you just poop it out. No, it's a chemical breakdown. You actually exhale all the molecular stuff that's been holding. So instead, what we have to do is I'm going to teach you how to deplete the glycogen in your liver. Slowly, it's a process. Now, this body fat's still on your body. You can't touch this for the most part until this has been depleted. And so we have to deplete that, keep it there, and then be consistent while we're working off body fat. But then, oh, what happens? We deal with a lot of binge eating. So all of a sudden, okay, do you see where I'm going in this pattern? So we refill up the glycogen storage and then we're trying to like eliminate it. Here's the number one problem that happens, okay? So someone overeats, okay, so they've got some body fat storage, and then their number one thought is, well, I'm gonna go work this off at the gym. I'm gonna go burn off these calories because there was like 300 calories in those cookies, so I better go burn 300 calories. So again, does it just work like this? Oh, that 300 didn't count and that 300 didn't count. Not at all. Not at all. And this isn't to paint a depressing picture. This is to paint a realistic picture. Because for over 15 years of my life, I was a binge eater. I was someone that thought these very messed up things, and so turned into more of a punish cycle of eat, punish, which, as I've put my story out there and run my business, it's the story of the majority of people. And it's neat to be able to talk about these things and be real. Behind them, as well as the psychology. So instead, honestly, the best thing to do is going to be some strategies that I teach you today, as well as do not punish, because psychologically speaking, it reinforces the behavior. But secondly, you're not going to get back in this system. All you're going to do is maybe dip into this a little bit, but then, oh, guess what? You're hungry. So then you feel like, oh, I can eat again. So I just want to say all this to set this up, to really listen to these nutrition strategies. Hopefully they don't hate me. There's water all over this now. It's summer. It's swim season.
Seen worse.
Yeah. Okay, good. And so that's going to be hopefully the mindset of thinking why, as we talk about foods and how they work in our body, that it's not this like a tactic of diets that is so traditionally put in each of our minds, where it's, oh, well, I'm just going to do this for X number of days. I'm going to try and help you understand that this is a day in, day out effort and how you can do so in a maintainable way. I always forget my little tissues, so I'm going to run over here and see if there's something to wipe this off.
I had a question. Actually, maybe I should just ask it.
Yeah. Great. Where are my tissues?
Oh no.
Right back. Okay, what's your question?
Or I could just ask it later. It kind of has
No,
to
I
do with,
know.
I was just curious with all of that.
Yeah.
How is that like the same when it comes to like building muscle?
In what way?
This thing.
Oh, this. Absolutely. Absolutely. To build muscle,
So like because
unless you're in ketosis, which in ketosis over time, your body can actually produce glycogen without carbohydrates, but that takes a long time to get in that process. But for the most part, you do need to have this surge of glucose coming in to help fuel the resynthesis of those muscle protein fibers. Now, that's not to say, now this is how most people bulk. I'm bulking, I'm bulking, you know, instead of like strategic, like as the body needs it.
so it like becomes depleted with workout.
Exactly, which is why you need to refuel. And I was in the mindset for how many years that I worked out. Oh my gosh, yeah, I burned so many calories. Why would I go eat? Why would I do that? Because it keeps your body on that plane and in that zone to keep working. So
I guess the real question is finding out how much storage you have.
yes, which to my knowledge, there is no test, there is no anything that just says you can store X number of carbohydrates in your body. Having coached so many people of different body types and goals and you know, exercise levels, I have some pretty good ideas and some ballparks I can give you. And I will say that I have found the FDA's recommendation of like 300 grams of carbohydrates for a woman. I don't believe in it. Nope.
Is that too much?
Yeah. Now, a lot of it comes down to what level of leanness a woman would like to attain. However, also in most of the recent studies, and they're finding so many links between disease and heart problems, brain problems with increased sugar intake. Well, it can be easy for us to say, well, that means don't eat your desserts and your candies and stuff. However, what are carbohydrates? They break down to glucose, aka sugar. And so for most women, I'll just throw these numbers out there. Exceptions always apply. If you're a follower of my stuff, you know, here comes the part, asterisk, exceptions always apply. Don't go blasting me like one woman did once in a Facebook group. Oh my gosh, I can't believe someone is throwing out these numbers. Yeah, sent her my documentation. Guess who revoked her post? So don't do it. So women, for the most part, average woman who's exercising maybe 3 to 4 days a week, I'd like to see her between 100 to 200 grams of carbs a day. If she is not carb cycling, if she is not in ketosis, which there's a time and a place for these other forms of eating, okay? Or bulking, intentionally trying to put on muscle, or endurance training. Maybe she's a marathon runner. Actually, I just had a girl finish a marathon and I kept her maximum 175 grams. She's super lean, but we would fuel her just around her workouts, you know, about starting 8 hours prior to her long runs. But on non-training days, no, she wouldn't do carbs. Carbs were her fuel for getting her through the long runs. So that's some basics for all you men out there. Basically, for the basic man, I'm going to say 5'10" to 6 feet tall, you know, works out maybe 3 days a week, 4 days a week, not like a huge bodybuilder. I'm just talking a general dude, probably between 180 and 270 grams of carbs per day. Okay, now here's the key is when I teach carbohydrates, it's either A, around your workout, you know, maybe a few meals before, a meal after, or B, which is going to be in the first 2/3 of the day.
In the final third of the day, we should be trying to get our carbohydrates out and replacing them with fats. So instead of a protein, veggie, carb-based meal, we would eat protein, veggie, fat-based meals, helping stabilize the blood sugar, helping us sleep more optimally. So simple, you know, most people have pasta at night. I'd say cut the pasta. Instead, I want you to have a lot of avocado and some coconut oil with your meat and your veggies. And that's how we would do a simple little switcheroo. You know, make your pasta veggie noodles instead. So you're getting that in the V. And then again, just olives, oils, nuts, seeds, things like that. So I knew this was going to happen and get tangented. So any questions so far? Are we okay to just keep rolling with this? Okay, and feel free to stop me at any time if I don't explain something well enough, or you're like, wait, what on earth are you talking about? Especially you guys, you know, who are new here. So happy you're here. It's always fun to get new faces. All right, so let's now talk about what detox diets will do. So detox diets will help you feel hungry. Should I write these down? Okay, I'm going to try and be really non-biased. I think you've already gotten a vibe. I'm not really for the detox. Traditionally, I'm for a different type of detox. So yes, a detox diet will make you feel hungrier, but resultantly, it will also help you feel lighter because, you know, things are moving through and there's not a whole lot coming in. So you're getting more of an energy deficit. They will probably make you feel lightheaded. Now let's think, as we just learned that glucose fuels the brain, why would we get lightheaded in a detox diet where let's define detox diet. Let's take the traditional, let's take like the maple sugar or maple syrup, lemon, what else is in it? Cayenne pepper. Oh, it's brutal, that one. You know, so if we're having that, we're not eating. We're getting hardly any glucose, just the glucose from the maple syrup. So yeah, your brain isn't getting enough glucose on which it runs. And so yeah, you're gonna feel lightheaded. So we are helping flush the body, which ironically enough, fasting without those extra little things will also flush the body. So that's why something called intermittent fasting, if you guys have heard of that out in the nutrition world, some people really push that. I personally, for religious reasons, fast once a month, and that has been found in studies to be a really beneficial thing, 24-hour fast from both food and water. I mean, the religious purposes is not water, but yes, water, but in terms of the detox, that would be just food. You know, you don't have to necessarily cut your water. So in terms of, you know, helping things move along, the point of what do they even call it? The cayenne pepper flush or diet, whatever. I've done it. Like I said at the beginning, I've done that several times. You wouldn't imagine the faces you make after. Have you done it?
I haven't ever gotten all those.
Your face is just like, it's awful. You're just like dying. And it's just nasty stuff. And so the cayenne pepper is naturally an appetite suppressant. So when you're not eating food, you know, then you're going to feel like, oh, you know, I don't need to eat as much. Now, I forgot to put this out there, all you guys. I want you to be careful when you listen to this, because what I don't want to happen is for me to give you a little nugget of information that you're then like, I want to try that. And then like go off and try something weird. So please take this full explanation in context, because I could just see some cute little 16-year-old out there that's just like, well, this way, and like, you know, grasping onto one of those, because I was one of those girls. That's why I'm like, really be good. Okay. So anyway, yes, cinnamon and cayenne pepper is going to help, you know, reduce your appetite a little bit more. The cayenne pepper or the maple syrup is just going to make it sweet enough that you can actually get it down. Lemon and limes, those are going to help. You know, they have antioxidants, they have vitamins. What else do we eat that has vitamins and nourishment and antioxidants and, you know, vegetables. Woo! Let's start a list over here. Veggies naturally do that, whether you eat them raw or whether you juice them. Okay, what else has vitamins and awesome nourishment?
Berries.
Which are a fruit. So this is why these diet detoxes have really focused on these two categories, because they're so full of nutrients. And so, you know, there's a lot of studies that say, well, yeah, if you juice it, you get X% more, you know, of the nutrients and stuff like that. So here's where I want you to think critically. I want you to say, okay, is it more sustainable? That's what I always want people to come up with. Is this sustainable for me? Because if we stop, go, we're not getting anywhere with our body. The body's a product of evolution, which means consistency is king. So we want to ask ourselves, what is sustainable for me? You know, you were just talking about your dad is a real big juicer and he loves it. And that's a part of him he loves. So for him, would juicing every day be sustainable? Oh no. Oh, she's shaking her head. Why not?
Because he doesn't last.
Oh, he doesn't last. So what makes him start doing it again?
Probably eating bad.
Eating bad and then feeling like, I need a detox. I better start cleaning everything out. And then we feel light and then we feel like, oh, I could probably justify this
like
Swiss
this.
roller.
So he did it for like a month and he lost a ton of weight. But then it's like, yeah, you can't keep doing it.
Right. So yeah, it comes back to, I try, when I'm coaching an individual, I try and get them off a very extreme path or very apathetic. And I'll be honest, most of the people that come to me they're extremes and they can't get results. And it's because they've pushed it too hard. And I bring them back using science to a very nice medium, which is where actually consistent results happen and you can sustain them. And it's a scary place to be because we feel like if we're not killing ourselves, we're not doing enough. And I'll say, if you're in that boat, stop it. So, veggies or fruits. So let's talk some Power Foods lifestyle lingo for those of you guys who speak Power Foods lifestyle lingo. And if you don't, you're welcome to read my book. They sell it here at the JCC, or for those of you guys watching, it is available at powerfoodslifestyle.com. So how do we integrate fruits and veggies into our day so that we can actually just make a detox a part of our lives?
Veggies with every meal.
Veggies with every meal. Oh, I'll come back and finish these. Don't you worry. Veggies every meal. So let's talk about realistically, what does that look like? Did anyone have some vegetables today?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear them. Let's go around. Let's start here. Did you eat any vegetables today?
Uh-oh.
The truth comes out. You still got 4 hours to get some in, right? Okay. What did you eat? What vegetables?
I had some cucumber. I had tomato and lettuce.
Yum.
Carrots.
Yum. Carrots, tomato, lettuce. That's what she's saying for all you guys. That sounds amazing. Was that all in one meal? Was it spread throughout?
It was kind of spread throughout.
Yay! That's what we want, because then our uptake is all throughout the day and you're constantly getting nourishment to your body. And what veggies did you eat?
I did red pepper, zucchini, carrots, salad, and tomato sauce.
Oh, perfect. Yum.
All
All different times. Perfect. And what veggies did you eat?
greens.
Leafy greens.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I was driving north today. I drove out to Salt Lake, about 4.5 hours from St. George. And it was morning. And I was like, didn't pack my foods. I've kind of been just like, woo, all over the place. And it came time, my belly said, you better eat now. You know, it's growling. And I'm saying, what am I going to eat on the road? Nothing sounds good. I don't want garbage in my body. Like, the thought of putting non-strategic carbs in my body first thing in the morning, I've done this enough times in my life. It's downhill from there, baby. Like, watch out. You're going to be on the sugar train all day long, right? And I don't want that. I don't want that train. I hate that train. I want to stay on the caboose of that train. So I went to Subway. Believe it or not, Subway serves salads at 7 in the morning. And I got a chicken chopped salad with tomato and cucumber, peppers, pickles, olives. I used guac for the dressing, chopped it all up. And I drove up on the freeway eating my salad. And it was not even 10 minutes later that my body really gave me that signal of thank you for this nourishment. And have you guys ever felt that signal in your body? It feels really good when you start paying attention to it. That's the signal that you're getting those antioxidants, you're getting those minerals, those phytonutrients that your body needs in every cellular structure to help fight that detox or the free radicals we were talking about, as well as feed into all of the systems that make you blink and have water when you blink, help your skin to repair when you scab, you know, you get a little gouge or something. You know, every little thing that we take we take for granted, that's all as a result of us getting our vitamins, which the most of them come through veggies and fruits. So what do you think happens to a person's body's ability to repair some of those broken down elements if they stop eating their veggies and fruits? Are they going to have a depressed system, not the depression that we know of, but like depressed meaning a less able body to repair itself? It's pretty simple, right? Yeah, absolutely. And the number one thing I hear when people come to me is, I can't sleep, I feel like garbage all day long, I have no energy, I'm moody, and the first thing I say, anyone have any idea? Are you eating your vegetables? I don't care about what's going on in your protein, fats, carbs department until we can start getting vegetables in the diet. Because even if your day, this means non-strategic foods all day long, but even if we can get some veggies here, eat some cucumber with that pizza, you're gonna start feeling better. Eat broccoli. I can't tell you how many people and body buddies out there have, they talk about, oh my gosh, it's okay to eat a raw bell pepper like an apple driving down the road. You got your baggies of carrots. You've got, you got to think ahead and be proactive in making veggies happen. I personally love the grocery store's little plastic containers of prepared veggies, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, snap peas, peppers, because that's so portable, especially if you're someone on the go a lot. That works really well. Now let's talk about fruits. How do we get fruits in our diet? Should we be eating these as frequently as veggies? No, and this is a tricky one because most of us have been taught fruits are healthy. And if it's healthy, we should eat a lot of it, right? Well, we know that fruit breaks down to mostly fructose, which is a sugar, but it's a different type of sugar than glucose, what we just went through this whole explanation. Fructose also has to go through your liver, and it has to be converted so it resembles the same molecule that looks like a glucose molecule, so your body can actually handle it and use it. Your body can only handle so much fructose at one time, though. And if you get too much fructose in the liver at one time, that's a problem because your liver can start to produce fatty deposits in the liver, so that someone who never ever touched alcohol could actually still have a fatty liver. Now, usually that doesn't happen just from fruit. That's usually like sodas, fruit juices, things with a high fructose concentrate, but we want to keep that in mind as a principle. So I like people to keep maximum 3 servings of fruit a day, and each serving is going to be a half a cup. Especially in spring and summer like it is right now while we're doing this, it's yummy, it's fun, it's sweet. I was talking with a client a few days ago. She's like, it's so yummy, and my brain says it's healthy, eat it, it's okay. And while yes, is that better than a non-strategic option, the cookies, the pies, the brownies, the chips? Yeah. However, let's be careful that we don't pull that crutch, and I think sometimes we do play that game psychologically with ourselves, right? Okay, so let's just keep it right there. Let's return to the things that detox diets do not do. Let's kind of quiz you because we went over this. So any ideas, what does a detox diet not do for you?
Help you lose weight.
Okay, for the most part. Some people, I'd say if you're in pretty excess weight, you will, okay, let's define this. Will you lose weight? Probably, because you're losing a lot of water and that glycogen storage, right? But will you lose body fat? Maybe. You stick to it long enough, but then what happens after? Are you going to quickly eat again and let that glycogen supply overfill? So let's be careful that detox doesn't necessarily equal body fat loss. It can, but let's, again, we want to be careful. We're trying to retrain our brains of what we associate with these fads out there, and we start thinking very logically. What else will a detox diet not do? Will it cure disease? I mean, there's probably some, but I would say no. So let's not look to it as this perfect cure-all. But by that token, will it help free up your body? Especially if this is a consistent change and we detox
the way that I like you to, which is these simple things, and we'll get into more manipulation, but these are our basics. This is where we start. Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we're starting to think a little bit differently at this point. So while I erase, go ahead and throw out any questions you have, because the next thing I'm going to dive into is and some strategies to effectively reduce that liver glycogen supply if we want to detox and get our body prepped for max body fat composition change. No questions.
So you think you can't be free from disease?
That's a very interesting way you phrase that. Phrase that. So I think you can't be free from disease
By doing like the
by doing a cleanse. No.
Show?
Because again, let's define cleanse. Most of the cleanses I'm aware of is like a 7-day, 10-day, 20-day thing. It's not talking a serious change of your habits. If you absolutely change your habits, and I help people do that, we've reversed how many type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol. I mean, I've seen miracles in watching people apply what I teach. So I'll never take a stance of, if you have a condition, that good luck. I'm going to say it's time to get serious about looking at the long-term maintenance and finding that sustainable approach for you, which for every person is a process. I will pin the average person's true change and like being able to sustain their changes without them like, whoa, what did I do? And what do I do? And having their questions answered and knowing how to handle different situations is 3 months. 3 months of pretty intense coaching. And people do it on their own all the time. And I have all the resources out there, but that's the average of what I've seen. So, okay, now we're going into depleting the glycogen. So I'm going to just draw a little person here. All right, here's the liver-ish, in the general vicinity, okay? So they eat, as soon as carbohydrates, let's take a piece of bread, for instance. But let's also take rice. I don't want you to think that just because, oh, bread, because everyone thinks, oh, bread is bad. No, it's just carbohydrate. Look at it as a carbohydrate. Rice, potato, you name it. What else? What do you think is the best carb? Yeah, like yams, sweet potatoes. Fruit. Okay, so carbs, they hit this enzyme in your saliva and they start to break down. Break down, they go down your esophagus, they're breaking down. As soon as they're here, guess what your blood sugar starts to do is go zoom, depending on how much fiber. If there's a lot of fiber, it's gonna have less volatility. If it is just a white, simple carbohydrate with no fiber, you're going zoom, which we really want to prevent this kind of thing in your blood sugar. So what happens through that zoom, it's a good thing because that's the only way that your body can uptake that glucose. Without that zoom, your body has not received the signal to pull it in. So it's a blessing. Don't look at it. A lot of people then just don carbs as the bad guy. It's like, well, fine, like, let's look at what do they actually do for your body.
It's the first thing you can put into your body.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, okay, so we've got this, and if you fueled your brain, and then leftovers come and they're stored here, but they're also stored in all your muscular sites, which aren't as big of a storage tank, you know, wherever your muscles are. These are the pectorals and the abs and, you know, every muscle group and stuff. So that when you like do contractions and stuff, that's using glycogen. Woohoo! Okay, so what if you ate so much, you had, oh gosh, you had the 6 pieces of pizza and the brownie and the chips, or whatever it was, whatever you overate on, Cheesecake Factory Mega Central, and you're feeling this, you feel that spillover that's happened. So what do we do? I'm going to tell you what you don't do. You don't go try and exercise it off. You don't starve yourself. You don't drink potions. You don't take weight loss pills, which includes laxatives. Do not do it. That's just going to mess you up further, okay? What I like you to do, and I'm going to teach you some pretty heavy manipulation tactics right now, which I share with some caution, because this is the first time I've really in a public way taught these principles, because usually I like to micromanage it and make sure that a person really understands, and I only teach it in a one-on-one basis. So please try to take this all in stride. So let's first go back to understand the two types of meals I teach. Well, I teach three different, I teach a lot of different types of meals, but PVC, PVF, PVCF are our basic meal combinations: a source of protein, a veggie source, a carb source, protein source, veggie source, fat source, and so forth. So obviously we're getting the most of our carbs when we're involving a C, a food that comes from a carbohydrate category. So if this situation happens and you're really needing that detox, what I'm going to have you do is 3 days of something, then I'm going to have you do 2 days of something, then I'm going to have you do 2 days of something else, then I'm going to have you do, wait, 3, 5, 7, that's it. 7 days. 7 days of this Power Foods lifestyle detox. So what this looks like, let's first understand a traditional strategy for eating. Everyone's is going to be different, but the typical person is going to eat anywhere from 3 to 4 PVC meals and 1 to 2 PVC meals in a day if they're strategically eating. But if you are coming out of this and you overate and something happened, then I want you to do 3 days of all PVF meals. Now, as to the number of meals, I'm not going to put a number on it, because that goes back to our principles. Very simply reiterating what we talked about before in former classes is eat a meal within an hour of waking, eat a meal every 2 to 3 hours, eat your final meal of the day an hour to 2 before bed. So for some people, if they don't stay awake very long, that could be 3 meals. For people who wake up at dawn and go to bed at dawn, that could be 8 meals, you know, but it's all about keeping the blood sugar as balanced as possible. So what is a PVF meal? What does that look like? My salad this morning at Subway, chicken was the protein. I had all of those veggies, and I had guac, which comes from avocado, which is a fat. Technically, it's a fruit, which is a carbohydrate, but the majority of our calories in an avocado come from fats. Therefore, it is a power fat. So that was a PVF meal this morning. Did anybody else eat a PVF meal today by circumstance or by, you know, making an effort?
Yes.
Tell me, what did you have? What was your meal like?
I did ground beef, pasta sauce, and cheese.
Awesome, that sounds yummy. So ground beef, pasta sauce, and cheese. Was there veggie with it?
Yeah, zucchini.
And zucchini. Ooh, that sounds way yummy. Yum, yum. Okay, and then what did you have?
Tuna,
Protein, avocado fat,
and leafy greens.
leafy greens, veggie. Beautiful. Those are all PVF meals. So is it starting to make sense how we just take a food from that category, which again, if you need that list with the foods in their categories, go to powerfoodslifestyle.com/self-training.
So I had 2 eggs
Yeah.
and 2 eggs and greens with tomatoes.
Beautiful. That was a PVF meal.
Yeah.
That was it. Yep, 2 egg yolks equals a fat, and then your veggies. And tomato is a weird one, and people who are new to Power Foods are like, that's a fruit. I'm like, I know. In the book, I say it's a fruit, but it's so good for you. I want you to eat it, not treat it like with caution, like the other fruits. I want it to be in the diet if a person will.
What about
Eat
if you have like a almond butter and an apple? Is that a PVF?
So that would be a carb-fat combination, which is not bad. It's not bad at all, but we would definitely want to back it with a P, maybe have some turkey slices with it. And then just really try, if you are going to combine carbs and fats in a fat loss phase, remember it always comes back to what's your goal. In a fat loss phase, just really, really try to keep this to half an apple. And maybe this should be closer to like 3/4 of a tablespoon rather than a full serving of like 1 tablespoon. So just drop your portion size a little bit. That's a typical cheese and apple or peanut butter or almond apple or almond butter and apple is a combination we see quite a lot that I'm like, just tweak it for me just slightly. I know it's delicious. So great question. So 3 days of PVF meals. Why would we not put carbs in here? What do you think my goal in giving someone 3 days of PVF meals is? What's going to happen to this storage of glycogen? Without tons of incoming carbs, is your body going to start to draw on this storage and start to deplete it slowly? Yes, it's going to start to deplete. And if you do it right and you're exercising, through sustainable habits and not crazy crash dieting or anything crazy, because you're eating every 3 hours. You better be eating your full robust meals and giving your body the nutrients. You're not depriving, you're tweaking how you're fueling your body. Then when that is depleted, guess what your body is in a state to do? Burn only fat, because you're not using this for energy. So now your body has to go to fat stores all over for energy.
Right?
What's that?
Ketosis, kind of.
Yes and no. So to hit ketosis, you have to keep the liver glycogen depleted so low and not put any new carbs in it, so that your body, instead of functioning off glucose for the brain, is going to say, we got no incoming glucose. We're going to flip over. We're going to start producing ketones so that your brain can function. So for those of you listening, if that's of interest to you, I have 5 series on that, on how to get into ketosis and stay there sustainably on my podcast. I think I'll go, when this is all recorded, I'll go put links on and stuff. So after 3 days, we've depleted. So you're feeling that lightness. You're feeling nutrition in your body. You're feeling nutritionized. You're feeling good. But we're going to keep maximizing this feeling of cleaning everything out. So the next 2 days, all I want you to do is start adding in a fruit. I want you to just add in 2 servings. So you'll eat PVF meals, but 2 of your meals will look like this: PVF little c, because a little c is a half cup of fruit. It's not a full portion of carbs. So you do 2 days of that. I would recommend blueberries, strawberries, basically any type of berries, grapefruit, apples. Stay away from bananas. They're more on my, let's stay away from them unless you're like begging me. Right now, like I had a nectarine with my lunch, some nectarines, or, I think for the most part, it's mainly mangoes, pineapple, and bananas that I'd like you to exercise a little more caution with. If you're going to do those things, keep the portion size super small and look at it as a treat instead of like, this is healthy. Again, yes, it's healthy. Absolutely it is. But is it strategic for shifting things? Not necessarily. Okay, any questions up to day 5?
So what's another quick meal for a PVF?
Great question. Let's get even more specific. Are we talking breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, shake?
Well, I mean, a lot of times avocados come up, but obviously you can't eat.
You can't eat that much avocado.
Yeah,
yes. So some other really prominent fats that I work into people's meal plans: olives, all kinds of oils, as long as it's from a real source. So no vegetable oil, I know it sounds like it's from a real source, it's not. So coconut oil, avocado oil, macadamia oil, that kind of thing. We have cheese, which if you're lactose intolerant or sensitive, which actually 70% of Americans have some form of lactose intolerance or sensitivity. So pay attention to that. Notice that, do you feel a little more bloated or gassy after eating cheese? Then you might want to lighten up and use it as a less frequent fat. We have nuts, every kind of nut. If it's raw or a seed, you name it. I'm really not picky on that. If you want pistachios, great. If you want cashews, great. Keep it to its portion size, which is a palm full, with your fats and your veggies. Now, these are all of our monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Now, if we talk some of our more saturated fats, we'll skip this down just a hair. Then we've got things like bacon, which I don't know if I can say in here, right? We're in the Jewish Community Center, just so you guys know. Sausage. Oh, sorry, cheese is down here in the saturated fats too. Egg yolks. A lot of people for snacks do hard-boiled eggs and like chopped up peppers or carrots or celery. They'll make just little kind of egg salads. What else? What am I missing here? I mean, there's a ton of the saturated ones, even like pepperoni, salami, basically any type of like fatty meat would work for that. But fats are a little bit harder to find, definitely. And then we have, of course, our nut butters. Peanut butter, almond butter.
Like almond milk.
Yes, almond milk is a fat, and this is the tricky one because I don't usually count it as an F in people's meal plans unless they're drinking 2 cups plus. Because in 1 cup, we're getting 3.5 grams of fat. To qualify as an F, it's 8 to 12 grams. So that's why it's like 2 cups plus, right? So does that help?
Mm-hmm.
Some people do protein powder with peanut butter and some almond milk and then like celery on the side. That's a PVF meal. My PVF favorite breakfast when I'm home is
egg whites with coconut oil and maybe like a slice of bacon, or I'll like exchange either an egg yolk or a slice of bacon or avocado. I'll just whatever I feel like that day. Leafy greens up the wazoo, tomato slices on it. That's really delicious. Ground beef, let's see, salmon is a really yummy one. That's a protein and a fat with your veggies. And then let's see. Is it starting to give some ideas? Is it good? Okay, awesome. All right, we've covered a lot so far. So we've gone 3 days of PVF meals. And the next thing I'm going to say, well, I'll get into some of the other things we added, but this is just the nutrition part. Then we start adding in fruit. And the final 2 days, we're going to work back into the level of eating that you were before in terms of strategic eating, not in terms of overeating. So that may be, maybe you have 3 PVC meals in a day. Maybe you like your toast with breakfast, but of course, if you have toast with butter, that's a PVCF. So if you're really trying to drop the weight, I'd say hold the butter. You know, maybe you have PVC meals 3 times a day. Maybe this is breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then you have PVFs in between. You know, maybe you package all 3 of your PVC meals, breakfast, mid-morning, lunch, and then you go PVF meals. Everyone's going to be different however you package that. And that's why I teach you principles and say, get to work, figure out what works for you. And that's the fun. Really treat it like a scientific experiment. Write down what you're doing, how does your body feel, and you'll come to some conclusions about when, you know, the timing of what works best in your body. So any questions about this so far? Okay, because there's some other cool things we're going to talk about that aren't, I mean, this simple way of talking nutrition manipulation could take someone 2 hours to explain in terms of the depletion of glycogen and how to do it. Isn't this a simple way of thinking about it? I love it, because when we make things way too difficult, that's when we as human beings just run from it.
Just like shut down.
We just shut down. It's overwhelming. And that's why this monitoring, it's like it's a budgeting. It's like a monetizing budgeting way in your brain of thinking about your foods. I mean, does it take all of the thinking out of it? Not at all, but it gives us a sustainable pattern to use without being all like up in MyFitnessPal every minute, because I couldn't do that. Like that made me obsessive for years, and scary place to be. And even sometimes now I'm like, I'm in such a better headspace. You know, I do all this, I coach people, I like teach people how to do this. I'm like, I'll be fine if I do it for 3 days. I don't even make it through 1 day from, get away from me. I can't do that micromanaging of numbers. It goes weird places here. It's a really scary place. So I don't really recommend it for people unless you don't deal with any of those tendencies of like punishment or fear or, you know, things like that. So because your food relationship is a big part of your brain, and everyone's always like, what's wrong with me? And we treat it a little bit more frivolously than I think it is sometimes. Your food relationship is a huge part of you. So let's be a little bit more compassionate to ourselves and encourage ourselves rather than denigrate ourselves, saying, oh, you can't do it, you never stick to anything, you failed, you know, the voices that we allow in our heads sometimes are stupid. And until we step away from it and actually realize what we're allowing to go on inside our heads, we just get wrapped up in it all, and we participate and we exacerbate it. And that's just fed even more so by media and everything that's out there. And then you land on the next blog post that says, detox, eat these 5 foods. And you're like, oh, what is it? Because you think it's going to find an answer that you don't know, but you really do know it. You really do. We just need to be more compassionate, be more sustainable in our efforts. Okay, so we talked about adding carbs back in. And okay, so here's some of the other things that are really important to do. Water. Okay, on a regular basis, I would like a person to drink a minimum of 70 ounces a day. If they're exercising, let's define exercising. Like if you're sweating and you're really kind of trying to push and whoo, that feels good. If you're walking away saying, yeah, then probably closer to 100 ounces, not pounds, ounces a day. And more on the athlete side who are training an hour to 2 hours a day, endurance runners, things like that. We have a lot of that here in Utah, especially like Ragnar, what else? Tough Mudders. There's so many of those fun things going on. Then we're going to get up closer to a gallon, 128 ounces a day.
Now, a question I'm asked a lot is, what can I put in my water to make it taste better? And guess what the answer is? Back to our fruits and our veggies. Put your fruits and veggies in it. Cucumber, limes, lemons, oranges. Now, a little bit goes a long way, so just a few slices. Berries, and it makes a very beautiful water pitcher that sits on your counter. You're going to be more inclined to actually drink your water. Sometimes I'll just put it in the bottom of my big like water jug. I'll just drop some fruit in there, and you've got great tasting fruit all day long and a refill. But cucumber and lime is my favorite combination. Anyway, this list goes on, but that is not only going to help you drink your water and have it taste good, you're also getting the benefits of some of those antioxidants that are getting into your water. You'd even get more if after you drink all the water, you got out the fruit and ate it and peeled and ate everything. It was funny, I have to tell you a funny story. I was with my nephew, my little 4-year-old nephew this weekend, and he wanted to cut the strawberries all by himself. And so I sat there and watched him. You know, he's holding a knife, and I'm like, okay, be careful. And he cut them all, and then he's like, Christy, what do I do with these? And talked to the, he's holding up the green part. And I said, most people don't eat those. I said, but you need to know they are edible. Just because other people don't eat them. Some people put them in their tea, and that actually brings some of the antioxidants. And I said, just because I don't want you to be afraid of certain parts of food, all parts of food are edible. If it grows, it is edible. It may not be the most pleasant thing to taste. And I just went and I ate it. And my mom walks in. She's like, what are you doing? You're teaching him bad things. But it's not bad to eat your strawberry rinds. But with the purpose of that being all parts of your food have some benefit to them. Avocado, the seed, there's a really cool BuzzFeed video going on right now about how you can bake it. And then, like, I can't remember if you crush it, but somehow you put it in your shake. I need to try it. Yeah, but there's so many nutrients. If it grows on something, it's beneficial. You know, I don't know if when you guys were little, you got told, if you swallow the apple seeds, you're going to grow apple trees out your ears. Yeah, I still believe it. So put some fruits and some, veggies in your water, things like that. So do your water. As far as other detox drinks, coming back to our maple syrup and our lemon and our cayenne pepper. In addition to the strategies we just went over with our food, I'm okay with a person doing those things. I'm not okay if that is the sole source of what they're doing to detox. Because can that help get the metabolism and get things moving just a hair faster? Yes. And I personally like to, I teach a lot of my clients to do apple cider vinegar, dilute it in some water, either drink it. I think that's a lot of liquid to drink in yuckiness. I would rather, just chug it, right? Then drink your water. It can be used as a dressing, though. A lot of people like the red wine vinegar. And so, yeah, absolutely. Vinegars are going to be a great thing to use as well. So those are going to be good. But as far as, can you see why, have I explained enough why stopping eating and going into starvation mode isn't the best idea? Do I need to explain that anymore? Okay, so that makes sense. Good, good. Because that's most people's natural tendency is, oh, well then I can't eat now till 2 o'clock tomorrow. No. Okay, all right. I think that's everything I had prepared to teach about this. Do you feel like it's very simple? Okay, do you feel like some of these things could be sustainable as habits if you really wanted them to be? And you can detox your body on a daily basis. When you are eating strategically, when you are being mindful, here's the thing, it's called life management. That means, guess what? You can't just wake up Monday morning and say, oh crap, what am I gonna eat? I guess my whole week goes to crap again. No, that means you need to become a proactive person. Come Friday, come Saturday, come Sunday, you need to be planning, you need to be shopping, you need to be prepping. I think so much of our healthy lifestyle comes back to being people who we're like on our A game, let's be in charge of our own lives rather than almost like a bystander in our own lives. Stop letting things happen to you. And I can't tell you how many times I or a client or somebody, you have events and it's crazy. And guess what? You figure it out. You wake up very early Monday morning. You go late Friday night when you're getting home from a party or whatever you guys do. You figure it out. and you don't default into, I just don't want to, I don't have time, because then you're back in this cycle of wanting solutions, and you become a victim for these fast answers that aren't benefiting you. So, moral of the story, set goals every week. Set an alarm on your phone to do your grocery shopping and some prep. You don't have to do a full-on prep. Some people take prep to the extremes, and I don't recommend that because that's not sustainable. You have to find the level of sustainability for yourself that works for you and your family. And that may be throwing some chicken breast in a chicken pot, crock pot, and chopping up some cucumbers and veggies, and that's it. That may be your prep. And if you do that, awesome. You've got some things going for you. Even if it's just making sure there's some staples in your fridge. But I just don't want to see that come to back of the fridge syndrome, where you push everything back as not prepped and you don't want to cut it up. You don't want to prepare it. So what do? You order out. Call it Chinese or whatever it is. Comfort food. The only way people stick to these changes permanently is when they set themselves up to not make another choice. Mainly, they've prepped their food. It's delicious. They've made it an appealing way, which I think, I mean, for the most part, my recipes, they're basic, but they taste good and they're doable on a regular basis. So let's open it up for any questions. And they can be about this topic or for anything else.
Well, what do you recommend for a young woman who has to depend upon her mother to do all her prepping?
That's a good question.
She doesn't always want to eat what I'm providing.
Right.
So.
Well, let's think about this. Have you ever gone grocery shopping together?
Yes.
Okay. And does that help at all to get some of the things you might want? Okay. I think just maybe a little bit more participation might be a helpful thing.
Yeah.
And sitting down and planning together. Are there certain things that you just want that she doesn't typically buy, or is it the other way around?
The other way around.
That she buys things that you're like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like healthy
Mostly-
stuff?
And
Or
a
what?
lot of times,
Unhealthy
you know,
I can't control myself.
Oh, okay, you bring up a huge point. That's a really good point, because that's so many of our problems, right? Is you have every intention in the world, and then if there's something in the household that, motivation can only run so far. And it's like, yeah, I just want it. And you go and you get it. So, and this is the hard thing, because is it fair for us when we have a goal to necessarily like force that upon other people and be like, you change your habits because I want to? It's a really tough thing, especially in big families. I mean, I can remember, it's so embarrassing, but on some of my really big diets in college, I can remember having such sparse foods because I was sticking to my diet, and like in the middle of the night eating some of my roommates' foods and having to replace it before they saw. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a yucky feeling, And so, I mean, it's tough. And I think, number one, communication in a family is really important. And it doesn't happen enough these days. Of, hey, can we talk about some of the things I'm working on? How can I use your help and support? Even if it's not that I'm trying to take this away from you, could we maybe put it in a different place? Could you maybe help me? And it's tricky, because sometimes we can set people up to then say something that we're like, don't say that to me. I want the food. Shut up. And a lot of it just comes down to, we as individual people have to know what we want. And we have to really set those goals. And yes, we can use people as support, but at the end of the day, we answer to ourselves. And that's a learning game. It's a big learning game. I think that's one of the hugest purposes of life, is to learn to master us.
I think the biggest thing that helps is finding the stuff you really do like that have vegetables already in them, and then tweaking it to make it work. Like, even
What comes to mind?
So, like, let's say you really like Cafe Rio or something like that, and you like the idea of having like a meat on there and a dressing and all that stuff. Well, then sometimes I will make something maybe more along those lines. For example, for my boyfriend, I'll like have beans and rice available,
Right.
that maybe I'll use later in prepping, or maybe I'll have that the next day in the beginning of the day.
Right.
But he can eat it like whenever, because it's still prepped and ready. But then for me, I'll just take that part out. So I'll just do the meat and the salad and then the avocado and then maybe a little bit of dressing, because I'm still in the fat zone.
Yes.
And try to add in more stuff. So sometimes I would say like something that's helped me, at least when I'm trying to cook for more than one person. And currently he doesn't have any goals that are similar to mine.
Which is okay, right?
It's trying to like think about things that would go in multiple recipes, or that would like carb it up or make it more interesting to the family as an option, but then not using it myself, like in what I'm making.
That is exactly what you're describing, is what a lot of mothers go through with cooking for the family, but then strategizing it for themselves. And I'll tell you, some of the most easy things to throw in to bulk it up for the family is your brown rice, your quinoa, red potatoes, yams, basically stuff like that will make it a more robust meal, where you just don't have the carbs. You replace it with your olives or your avocado or your coconut oil, and you stick to more of a protein veggie look. But usually if you're cooking your veggies in the oil, that works. So that's a perfect example. You have to think, when you're not just prepping for yourself, you do have to think, okay, I think it's better to think, okay, what will the family eat? And then think, how can I pull the carb from this and replace it with a fat, if there's not already fat in it? And that gets really simple if you do think about it. What if it's like a lasagna though, right? Well, first of all, my bikini zucchini lasagna recipe can help you. At least you can have the carbs. It could be a PVC meal, but you're going to actually regulate the amount. So it's not like the surplus of carbs. That's the key, is it's not bad to have our carbs. If we're going to have them though, number one, let's really portion control those suckers. And number two, let's be mindful, if we're in a fat loss phase, let's try not to put too many other nutrients with it by having fats and carbs, because carbs raise the blood sugar. You're in an absorption environment. That's great for health because you're pulling in nutrients to help your body work. But if we're trying to create a deficit for our body to oxidize those little fat cells, it's not the most strategic way.
But you do have more PVC meals in a day.
Everyone will be different.
Oh.
Everyone, and the goal is to find your carbohydrate threshold. So that means you get to experiment. I would like to see a person with only the number of carbs, PVC meals they need. So you do speak PFL.
I actually read the book.
She's read the book. You should have said
Jessica told me to.
Yay, you made her do it. I'm like, wait, you know too much.
Sorry.
That's great. Okay, so that was really cool. So yes, that's the tricky part, is everyone's going to be different. So some people, if they've been low carb eaters their whole life, it's hard for me to get them up over 2 PVC meals a day. If someone's always just been a eat whatever they want type of person, you put them on 2 PVC meals, they're like,
Yes.
I can't touch it.
That's me.
Okay, and so that's the fun. So most people, I say, if they've never really dieted or really manipulated their carbs before, I say start with 4 PVCs. The majority PVC meals. However, most people find when they replace more PVC meals with PVF, they feel more satisfied. And that's because carbohydrates do not signal our body that it's full. All it does is give our body fuel. Fats are the guys that are like, hey, you're full. And so you kind of weigh that out and balance. That's why one of my favorite strategies, if I'm not eating to train around my workouts, if I'm just eating for normal everyday nutrition, I might like do 10 minutes of yeehaw every day. I would probably eat a PVC in my main meals and a PVF for my snacks to help me feel full in between. So I'm getting to my main meals and I'm not overly hungry. And I'm like, I could eat a little and keep it in check. And that's the goal, is we're eating enough to feel satisfied, but not full. And that's a whole nother psychological game I worked with people on when they are triggered to need that fullness and having to be okay. And we usually have to get rid of some fears from childhood of them being hungry earlier in their life. And so not wanting that feeling of not being perfectly full. So you can see there's a lot of psychology here, but hopefully you've gotten some really basic tactical things to help you.
Thank you.
That's great.
Awesome. Okay, well, nothing else? Okay, then we will end this for you guys broadcasting here. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to share this, like, comment, whatever you want with it. But hopefully it's been helpful. And remember, power your body, one meal, one workout, one day at a time.